Somewhere on a British Army airfield within the next 4 years, an Apache pilot is going to lift off without knowing exactly how many aircraft are actually flying with them. Not because anyone lost count, because some of those aircraft won't have a pilot in them at all, and they'll be making certain decisions faster than the humans sitting in the cockpit ever could. That's the plan Britain quietly signed off on this summer, and it's bigger than most people realize. Yes, there's a headline number, up to 24 armed drones flying Wingmen for the Apache fleet, but that's really just one line in a document that reshapes how the British Army fights, who builds its weapons, and how much control a human being keeps over the decision to kill. We're going to get into all of it. The drones, obviously, but also the money, the politics, the 4 companies now racing each other to build this thing, and a sentence buried deep in a government report that's already got lawyers and ethicists arguing. Stick around, because the Apache pairing is honestly the least controversial part of this story. On the 30th of June 2026, Prime Minister Keir Starmer stood up and put a number on the table. More than £5 billion, the largest single investment in drone and autonomous technology the British Armed Forces have ever made. Not spread out over a decade, over 4 years. For context, that's roughly the annual defense budget of a mid-sized European nation, committed almost entirely to systems that 20 years ago barely existed outside science fiction. The government called it a drone transformation, and for once, the marketing language wasn't far off. This isn't a single new aircraft or a one-off contract. It touches the Army, the Navy, and the Royal Air Force all at once. And it's built around a bet that the next war Britain fights won't look anything like the last one it prepared for. There's a domestic angle, too, and Whitehall wasn't shy about it. Thousands of jobs tied explicitly to British manufacturers rather than foreign primes. In a year when the phrase "Buy British" has become something close to a political mantra across Europe, that detail matters as much to voters in Barrow and Belfast as it does to any general in Whitehall. Now to the part everyone's actually asking about. Project Nyx is the Army's program to field up to 24 armed, uncrewed aircraft, designed to fly and fight alongside the newly upgraded AH-64E Apache fleet. The same helicopter America relies on as its primary tank killer, now getting a very British addition bolted onto its doctrine. The idea itself has a name inside the Ministry of Defense: Loyal Wingman. An Apache crew flying into contested ground won't be the first thing the enemy sees. A drone will scout ahead, confirm the target, maybe even engage it, while the crewed aircraft and the 2 humans inside it stay further back, out of the worst of the danger. 4 companies are currently competing to actually build it. Anduril's UK arm, BAE Systems, the Portuguese-British firm Tecaver, and Thales UK were all selected in May to develop rival designs, and the ministry hasn't picked a winner yet. That's roughly £220 million of the wider package, a relatively modest slice, given what it's meant to deliver: reconnaissance, precision strike, and electronic warfare, all handled by aircraft that never put a British pilot at risk in the first place. None of this happens in isolation from the Apache itself. The Army's Apache fleet has just gone through its own upgrade cycle, and Nyx is designed from day one to slot into that newer aircraft's sensors and communications, rather than being bolted on as an afterthought. Here's where most coverage of this story stops, but Project Nyx is one line item in a much longer document, and the rest of it deserves just as much attention. Sitting right alongside Nyx is Project Corvus, up to 24 surveillance drones, unarmed, designed to replace the aging Watchkeeper system that's been the Army's eyes in the sky for over a decade. Then there's Rapstone, getting a £50 million boost specifically to fund small first-person view attack drones and the interceptors meant to shoot down exactly that kind of weapon when an adversary uses it first, a direct lesson pulled straight from the trenches of Ukraine. The Royal Air Force isn't sitting this out either. A brand new collaborative combat air program aims to put an uncrewed fighter jet in the sky by 2030, flying formation with crewed aircraft, the way Nyx's drones will fly with the Apache. And an electronic warfare drone called Storm Shroud is expected to enter service before the end of this year, well ahead of almost everything else in the plan. Even the Navy gets a slice most people haven't clocked. At least 6 new common combat vessels are planned, described by the ministry as the brain of a networked maritime air defense system, working alongside high-speed boats built for the Royal Marines. Add it together, and Project Nyx stops looking like the headline. It's one gear in a machine that's trying to turn almost every branch of the British military into something built around uncrewed systems talking to each other, not just uncrewed systems flying next to a helicopter.
Now for the politics. Because there's a detail in this plan that hasn't gotten nearly enough attention outside specialist defense circles, and it's arguably more significant than the number 24. Government documents describing Nyx use a specific phrase. The system will operate on command rather than control. Translated out of ministry language, that means the drones won't necessarily wait for a human to approve every single decision to fire. Instead, they'll be given a mission brief, rules of engagement, targeting parameters, and left to make certain calls themselves, in real time, faster than a human operator watching a video from hundreds of miles away ever could. For decades, one principle has sat underneath almost every Western military's approach to weapons. A person decides when a weapon kills, every single time. This is the first time a British government document has openly stepped back from that principle, even partially. The ministry insists humans still set the rules and remain accountable for what happens under them. Critics, including some voices at the United Nations, argue that's not quite the same as a human actually making the call in the moment, and that international law's core tests, telling a combatant from a civilian, weighing whether a strike is proportionate, get much harder to satisfy when the decision maker is an algorithm operating in seconds rather than a person operating with judgment. This isn't a side issue. It's the argument that's going to follow Project Nyx through every stage of its development, and it's worth understanding now before the first drone ever leaves the ground.
None of this is happening by coincidence. Ukraine has spent the better part of 4 years demonstrating in brutal detail what a battlefield saturated with cheap drones actually looks like, and how quickly a traditional army can lose aircraft, vehicles, and soldiers to a 500-pound quadcopter with a grenade strapped underneath it. Britain watched that war unfold from the sidelines, funding and training, but drawing its own lessons the entire time. The Rapstone Interceptor program exists because of exactly that lesson. So does the urgency behind fielding a defensive counter-drone capability before Nyx's offensive systems even arrive. There's also a simple industrial argument sitting behind the political one. Autonomous systems are, relatively speaking, cheap to build and expensive to lose, only in the sense of capability, not in the sense of a grieving family. An Apache costs tens of millions of pounds and carries 2 crew members whose training alone represents years of investment. A drone built to scout ahead of it can be produced faster, replaced faster, and risked in situations no defense minister would ever authorize for a manned aircraft. That calculation, more than any single piece of technology, is what's actually driving £5 billion toward this plan. Britain isn't just handing the Apache a few robotic sidekicks, it's rebuilding the logic of how its military fights, one project at a time, across land, sea, and air, while quietly opening a legal and ethical question nobody's fully answered yet. The drones will fly by 2030. The argument over how much control we hand them has already started, and it isn't going to end when the first one takes off. Global Strike Matrix will be tracking this one closely. Subscribe if you want to see where it goes.